Hello everybody. I don't normally do these kind of videos, but I hate people getting ripped off. And I made a refrigerator video, I don't know, a couple of years ago. It's almost 250,000 views, and I've gotten so many emails about that refrigerator fix. It was crazy. I've helped so many people. And I'm hoping to do that with this because don't want to see a plumber or a tile setter take advantage of you. So as you folks know, I was doing the tile of my home. Actually, tile setters were. And we found, after we yanked the toilet, that the flange was completely dissolved in rust. What they wanted to do was fix things the cheap way. And thankfully, I intervened. So the flange is important because you need the closet bolts facing upwards to bolt down your toilet. And by the way, that black circular ring in the middle with the washcloth in it is called the sewer pipe. I'll refer to the sewer pipe quite often in this video. So after the toilet was yanked and they found the dissolved flange, they immediately went out and purchased this two-piece cheap flange that just clamps onto the sewer pipe. There's a couple of problems with this. First of all, it too can rust. It sits below the tile, which is a bad no-no when laying a toilet down. Toilet should be flush with your existing flooring. So if you put new flooring in, you should have your toilet raised. Here I am marking where I want my bolts to be lined up from the back wall of the toilet. Now I'm not showing the back wall of the toilet, but that's what I'm doing. I'm putting them at about 11.5, leaving a little extra for the bolts to be adjusted. Technically, I could have gone all the way to 12, but I put it at 11.75, so there's a little play, God forbid. Some of the tools that you're going to need for this project are screws to bolt down that new white flange, a drill bit carbide, and if you've already laid the tile down, you're going to need a diamond tip, little tiny drill bit like you see. That's going to get you through the tile, not the carbide. The carbide is after you get through the tile, it'll get you through into the concrete. Some of the glue that we're going to need is a purple primer and some PVC. Name brands do not matter. Here's an example of what I put down in the ground that you're seeing. Notice that this one has threads and a rubber gasket. I did not use this one. This is just an option. This is the one with no threads, is the one I used. This slides down into the black sewer pipe, but it's glued with those two cans. You primer it, you glue it, you slide it in, and you arrange the screws, the screw holes, properly at 11.75. So again, these are both options. I prefer to go with the one without the threads and without the rubber gasket. I don't want to take a chance the rubber gasket is going to deteriorate. Notice that this flange is sitting level on the tile, right on top of the tile. Tile setters, they were a little off on their tile setting. The tile is not perfectly level, but that's okay. Notice I put a sponge in there. Here I am, after the new flange is installed, glued in. I'm measuring the depth of my screws. Should be quite obvious to everybody what I'm doing. I'm screwing through the tile with the small drill bit, and then I'm going for the concrete with the bigger carbide bit. Remember, tile is made of ceramic. Carbide bits will not drill through ceramic. You need a diamond, and that, by the way, was like a $12 bit, Bosch bit, to go through the concrete. I mean, go through the tile. I'm slowing down the entire video substantially so I can really show you what's going on here. Again, notice how flush the flange is to the new tile. Again, the new tile was set a little bit uneven, but no big deal. Before I screw in the bolts that bolt down the flange, I use a vacuum cleaner to clean off all the dust particles. By the way, yes, the flange is glued into the black sewer pipe, but you also have to bolt down the edges. Otherwise, you're going to have a rocking toilet. In addition, when you vacuum, if you know you're going to take out the sponge or washcloth or whatever you're blocking, vacuum the top of the sponge or a washcloth. That way, when you do remove it, no chunks fall in. And I also put it in there because about 2 feet down, the sewer pipe takes a hard left, goes horizontal. So there's basically just an elbow there, about 1.5 feet down, 2 feet. So I clear it out. And believe it or not, while I was doing it, I heard some nice chunks coming up of tile and concrete and thin set when the tile setters were working around there. Clean up around. What I did is I sucked the dust out of those 4 holes that we're going to screw down the bolts with. I want to really emphasize something here. Take your time when drilling into this concrete. Take your time when drilling down into the flange. And it's okay if your bolts went a little bit sideways as long as they are below the surface of that flange. You'll notice that there are pre-drilled holes in the flange. Here you see I had a little problem. All I did is back out the screw, re-tap it, and all the screws went in nicely. Notice that the closet bolts, that's what they call them, are at 11 3/4. Again, I measured those lines from the back wall of the toilet. Notice now, if I have to, I have about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of play if I need to do any adjustments. Again, you see the flange sitting perfectly level. Installing a wax ring does not take science. All you do is place it in there and just make sure it's even. It's centered. This is after I sat the toilet down. A little wax oozed up out of the holes. That's okay. The next thing you got to do is to seat the wax. Now, I didn't show you an image of this, but I sat on the toilet. After sitting on the toilet, I took a step back, verified that the toilet was facing straight, not cockeyed. Showing you how to put on the hardware. So your toilets are going to come with a little flexible washer. That's so you don't scratch or damage the porcelain or enamel that goes on. I'm all the way at the front of the toilet trying to reach around, so you'll notice that I'll drop a couple of washers here and there. So the flexible washer goes on first, folks. Little metal washer goes on top of the flexible one. Now, personally, I would have loved it if that that metal washer was a little bit more thicker, a little thicker. It actually bent when I tightened down the bolt, that wing bolt, that is. Again, I'm dropping stuff because it's hard to reach. Here you see removing the cap for the water hose. And screwing in the new one. This is all easy, folks. What's important is that flange. But so many plumbers, so many tile setters, and it's not really tile setters' fault.